Hello, Virgos. Welcome to our monthly zodiac reading for the month of June 2025. This reading will focus on Virgo risings. However, if you have a lot of planetary placements associated within the sign of Virgo, please check out this reading as well, because that reading, the tarot messages may apply to you or resonate with you on a different level. We will get an overall energy theme for the month. We will pull tarot for each week. We will clarify that with more tarot, as well as correlate the messages or correlate those cards to the astrological transits taking place, and then we will get some additional oracle guidance. So let's see what the overall theme is for the month of June for Virgo energy. Endless serendipity. This is card number 15. So 1 is about creation, it is about the self. And 5 is about change, it's about challenge, it's about conflict. But when we think about serendipity, we can recognize that we create the reality we desire through the changes that we are able to make, or through the challenges that we are able to endure and ultimately move away from. So when we think about serendipity, something may happen, a challenge may happen, or a change may happen that feels like a misdirect or a misstep, or it feels like it is not working in our favor. However, the serendipity of it is that it actually was meant for us. It was meant to move us away and shift our direction into something that is more in alignment with us. And 6, 1 and 5 create 6. 6 is about balance and harmony and stability. So that is absolutely lovely. Let's see what the tarot has to say. Here in the first week, we've got the 5 of Cups. So the 5 of Cups can represent disappointment and regret, or a sense of loss. And this is the week, a notable transit or something that you guys may hear about is that Venus, the planet of love, money, beauty, relationships, is moving into a connection with Chiron in Aries. For you guys, Aries is sitting in your 8th house, right? So this is the house of debt and inheritance, money, things of that nature, occult, sex, death, taxes, trying to remember all of the themes that involve the 8th house. Also shared resources, right? Or your partner's resources, right? Things that we kind of energetically become very tied to, right? But Venus is coming into a conjunction, right? So this could potentially trigger any wounds, losses, or regrets around things that we value, right? But on the 6th, we've got Venus, again, the planet of love, money, beauty, abundance, is moving, or not abundance, but aesthetic, is moving into the sign of Taurus. And for you guys, Taurus sits in your 9th house. This is your house of self-expansion. This is your house of higher learning and philosophy. This house also governs things like long distance travel, cultural experiences, freedom, like I said, travel, as well as like spiritual and religious beliefs, morality, and value systems. So Venus moving into is very comfortable sign of Taurus because it does rule Taurus. It could mean that it feels like things are going to kind of shift, right? You're going to maybe begin to reflect on things that feel disappointing, things that feel like loss, but ultimately recognize that this is shifting your life path, and it's also ultimately potentially shifting your value system or how you view certain situations or people. Here in the second week, the 6 of Cups in reverse. So the 6 of Cups represents nostalgia, memories from the past, inner child, joy, creativity, balance, harmony, stability. But when this card is in reverse, it can represent things, people coming back from the past, memories or emotions that are coming back from the past, things like inner child healing that might need to be resolved. On the 8th, we have Mercury moving into the sign of Cancer. So Mercury, your ruling planet, Mercury that governs thoughts, ideas, and communication, is moving into the sign of Cancer. Cancer sits in your 11th house. This governs social circles. So it could be friendships, a friend that is coming back from the past. Could be that a social circle, you being around old friends, brings another person back in from the past, brings back old memories that ultimately may lead you to do some of that reflection and growth and inner child healing. But it also governs your hopes and your dreams. It governs your hopes and aspirations, things that you want to see for the future, right? So it could be that there is an influx of ideas and an influx of really thinking about what you want for the future. We also have Jupiter moving into the sign of Cancer. It will be leaving the sign of Gemini and moving into the sign of Cancer for you guys. Again, your 11th house, hopes and dreams, social circles, friendships, and networking. Moving into the sign of Cancer, Jupiter is a benefic planet. It is a benevolent planet. It is known as kind of it's known as the great benefic because it brings things like abundance, growth, and luck and expansion. Okay. So Jupiter moving into this sign, whatever's coming up from the past is meant to help you expand towards what you're actually in alignment with in the future. On the 9th, we also have a full moon occurring in the sign of Sagittarius. Full moons are a buildup of energy, and the moon triggers our emotional state. So the light of the moon is kind of revealing things that we need to see, ultimately things that need to be addressed or let go of so that you can move forward in a way that is more aligned with who you are and where you're meant to be going. Sagittarius governs the fourth house. Fourth house, this is the house of the home. This could be your internal home. Given the fact that the Six of Cups can represent inner child healing, and then we have a full moon coming up within the sign of Sagittarius that hits your fourth house, it could be that there are a lot of feelings, memories, revisiting the past so that this can be healed and that you can move forward, right? Here in the third week, we have the Two of Wands. So the Two of Wands represents making a plan and moving forward. You're taking your experience with the wand that is rooted here in the ground, and you've got the world here, the globe. Like the world is your oyster. You just need to make a choice on how you want to move forward. On the third week, Mars is moving into your first house. It's moving into the sign of Virgo. Mars is the planet of action. It's the planet of war, aggression, assertion, willpower, or power and control, right? It is a very fiery planet, and it is all about forward movement, right? It's all about taking the steps forward. It's all about conquering goals, conquering challenges, and conquering things that need to, I don't want to say move out of the way, but things that can help you move forward. Mars is moving into your first house. Okay, so your first house represents your sense of self, right? It's the first impression that people get when they look at you. It is who you feel like you are. So maybe it's that with these changes, maybe with revisiting the past, with kind of going through this full moon cycle, maybe you're reevaluating who it is that you want to be. Maybe you're reevaluating how you want to approach the future now that some of these things have come to light and that you've been working on yourself, your sense of self. So Mars moving into Virgo, something to be mindful about. With Mars moving into Virgo, Mars can be very aggressive and very assertive. So just be mindful that your demeanor does not shift in that direction. However, it can mean that you are being more assertive with who you are in a very positive aspect, like no longer people pleasing, putting down boundaries, things of that nature. This is also the week that we have Cancer season. So anytime we astrologically shift into a new season, the themes, qualities, and characteristics of that sign tend to take center stage. So this is when we will experience Cancer season, and we will also experience the spring equinox. And it looks like with that, you guys are trying to decide how you want to move forward based upon what has happened in these last 2 weeks. Here, the fourth and final week, the Three of Wands in reverse. So you know that you need to move forward. You know that you need to make a choice to move forward, but now we've switched to the Three of Wands in reverse, which is a hesitancy to make that choice, right? There's something that maybe you're afraid of making the wrong choice. But here in this last week, we've got the new moon in the sign of Cancer. So new moons are a blank slate. They're an opportunity to set intentions and manifest what it is that you're wanting. And again, with your 11th house, Cancer being your 11th house, this is all about your dreams and your aspirations, right? Who do you want to surround yourself with when it comes to your social circles? Do you want to surround yourself with people who are consistently negative? Do you want to surround yourself with people who consistently play the victim in their own life? Do you want to surround yourself with people who do not take accountability for their choices? Probably not, right? So it might mean that you need to make choices around who you're going to surround yourself with. It might mean that you are struggling, or you can set intentions around what it is that you want to build for the future, but you have to be able to make those decisions. We also have Mercury, again, the planet of thoughts, it is communication, moving into the sign of Leo on the 26th. So Mercury is only going to be in Cancer for like 2-ish weeks. It's not a very long transit. It is steady moving along, but it will move into the sign of Leo. And for you guys, Leo governs your 12th house. This is the house of endings. This is the house of mental health. This is your house of subconscious. So it could be that with Mercury moving into your sign of Leo or your 12th house, that there is something coming up from the past, maybe fear that is preventing you from making these choices or from making these decisions and moving forward in a way that you know you need to. So let's see what this deck has to say. But remember, the overall theme is endless serendipity. And it's that if you want to focus on the loss that you felt, if you want to focus on the hardship that you've experienced, if you want to focus on all of the things that are coming up from the past, then it's not going to feel very serendipitous. But if you can look at those past memories, if you can look at those losses, if you can look at those disappointments and realize what I learned, what did you learn through those experiences, then you will see that maybe those experiences led to another more joyous aspect from your life. It could be that those choices or those experiences led to a more prosperous aspect of your life, right? So we want to look back on past experiences to help us grow, to help us learn, but we don't want to stay there, right? The best way to look at a past experience, what did I learn from that? What did that teach me? And how can I use that knowledge to move forward? Because I'm a firm believer that memories and things that come up from the past at particular times are coming up for a reason. And it's typically because there is a review. It's something that we are meant to review and learn and use that moving forward. But overall, the energy for you guys feels like a lot of things are going to be coming up from the past. You're going to be thinking a lot about the past, but allow those things from the past to show you how things have actually worked out in your favor. Even when it didn't feel like it at the time, even if you didn't think about it like that at the time, endless serendipity. It might be that when it comes up now and you're like, I didn't even realize that That rejection was this redirection, right? Here in the first week, the 5 of Cups, the 7 of Cups, and the 4 of Pentacles in reverse. So there's a feeling of overall loss, and it feels like disappointment, not necessarily loss like you physically have lost something or someone, but it does feel like a sense of disappointment. And it could be because here we have the 7 of Cups. There's an influx of ideas. There's an influx of things that you are passionate about. There's an influx of avenues that you could take when it comes to finding fulfillment. But there is something that you are holding, or it's going to require you to actually open up. I was about to read it like it was direct, but it's not. The 4 of Pentacles in reverse represents opening up and really letting something go that you have been holding on to, right? Again, we've got 4 here: stability, structure, the home, right? So it could be overall, there's just this sense of disappointment, maybe because there's a lack of clarity. And it could be that the idea is that I need to have clarity so that I can move forward, when instead you're just supposed to enjoy the journey. Right now, you're just meant to enjoy this transition. You're just meant to enjoy this journey versus trying to feel like you've got it figured out right now in this second. Okay? Here in the second week, again, this is the week of the full moon in Sagittarius, the 6 of Cups in reverse, the Star. Something is coming up from the past so that it can be focused on, so that it can heal, right? Because we've got the Star. The Star represents the future. It represents hope. It represents faith and healing. Because whatever is coming up from the past is potentially, it's blocking your manifestations, right? It could be, again, this could be a fear. This could be a loss of the past. It could be whatever's coming up around this full moon, specifically memories and emotions from the past. It is coming up so that you can heal it. It is coming up so that you can accept it for what it was and allow yourself to move on. Allow yourself to move on. And because Sagittarius sits in the 4th house, and because the 6 of Cups does represent inner child healing, I really wholeheartedly believe that this is going to be something about your own childhood. Something that happened within the home with a parental figure that you need to address. What did that teach you as a child? How did that impact you as you grew? How did that influence your ability to make decisions and choices in particular areas of your life? And what can you do now to heal that aspect and to ultimately move on and heal from it so that you can move into the future? Here in the 3rd week, we have the 2 of Wands, the 9 of Wands, very guarded, very tired, very frustrated and exhausted, and the 7 of Pentacles. So whatever is coming up here in the 3rd week, whatever choice you need to make on how you want to move towards the future, you're like, I'm very tired. I'm very exhausted. I've been investing in these things here with the 7 of Pentacles. But the 7 of Pentacles also requires patience, right? It could be that with the 2 of Wands, you are ready to move forward. You're ready to move forward regardless of how tired you are. You're ready to commit to putting in the time and the energy and effort to allow these things to flourish and grow so that you can kind of reap the rewards of what it is that you're sowing. You're ready for that to move forward. But here in the week of the new moon, we've got the 3 of Wands in reverse, the 8 of Pentacles in reverse, and the 2 of Pentacles in reverse. This definitely could be about finances. It could be like you're ready to move forward with something, but maybe there is fear around finances that are coming up. Not having enough finances, worried that you won't have enough finances. But you're like, I'm ready to move forward. I feel confident in, in making those next steps. But in reality, you may not feel as confident as you think you are, because we've got the Eight of Pentacles in reverse, and that represents, it doesn't feel like self-mastery. It feels more like you're not putting in the work that you think you are, because here, the Eight of Pentacles is known as the entrepreneur. However, what this person is doing is that they have removed themselves from society. They've gone to a more secluded place so that they can focus. They can focus and they can refine and they can perfect what it is that they're working on. However, if this card is in reverse, they have the same hopes and dreams, but they're not actually putting in the work to refine what it is that they need. And which requires or brings us back here to the Two of Pentacles, which is the Two of Pentacles in reverse, is that it could be financial priorities need to be reevaluated. Or it can just simply be that, like, I'm trying to like word it in a way that coincides with the message itself. It could be that you're trying to refine too much. Does that make sense? Like, the Eight of Pentacles is all about refinement. But if you've got so many things on your plate that you're trying to refine, then you're not really refining any of them. You're just spending your time on them. Because imagine if you've got the energy focused on one singular goal. If you've got all of your energy poured into learning whatever it is that you're trying to learn, or refine whatever it is that you're trying to refine, you are more likely going to be successful at that one thing, which could ultimately turn out to be much more prosperous than if you divide your time and energy and investment into multiple different things. It's kind of like focusing on one thing at a time. If you're focusing on all different things, then your energy is being divided into multiple different places. So therefore, each of those things are not going to take you as far or take you as forward as you would like to go. I hope that makes sense. But ultimately, the Three of Wands in reverse is like there's a hesitancy to move forward. And it could be because you're not really confident in your ability to move forward. It could be that there is too many financial investments that are taking place. And maybe you're aware, if I do this, it's going to take investment away from another area. Am I willing to do that? Okay. But the new moon in Cancer is providing you an opportunity to set intentions for your future, to really plant the seeds for your future, to really get clear on the investment that you're willing to make for a specific part of your future. It definitely feels like focusing on one thing that you want to really drive you forward, and then putting all of your energy, time, and investment in that one thing. That's kind of what that feels like. And again, Mercury moving into the sign of Leo, this could be fear of financial instability coming up. But for some of you, it does feel like you've got entirely too many investments. You've got entirely too many irons in the fire, and you need to figure out which ones are actually the priority versus which ones are just hobbies. Let's see. Let's get some oracle guidance, and then we will wrap this bad boy up. Tune out distractions. there's a lot coming in with the Seven of Cups. And when we have a lot coming in, when we've got a lot of ideas flowing, when we've got a lot of different interests that are taking our time and our energy, then again, we can't focus on other things. We can't focus on the things that might actually be more important at that time. So it could be that this is the time for you to tune out distractions. I literally just saved a picture of something I found on Pinterest, and it said, what you focus on becomes your frequency. So if you are focused on 10 different things, then that is where your frequency is going. It is going to 10 different things. But if you just tune out the distractions and focus on the 5 most important things, that is where your energy will be multiplied or will be amplified by those more important things. Be decisive. It could be that what's coming up for you is maybe a feeling or why you struggle to be decisive. It could be that you are second guessing your own ability. There's a lack of confidence in your ability to create the life that you desire. Right? Someone along the way has convinced you that you don't make good decisions. And as a result, you're struggling with making decisions. You don't know which to place the most value on because you don't trust yourself to make the right choice. Be decisive. Listen to your intuition. And again, the more you do shadow work, the more you truly get to know yourself, what you want, what your value systems are, what you stand for, and what you want for your life, the clearer you're going to be and the clearer you can decide whether certain choices align with those values or whether they don't. Be of service. Maybe spend some of your time, instead of focusing on me, take some of that energy and be like, how can I be of service to others? How can I help guide others? How can others learn from my experience? How can others learn what I know? What is the best way for me to be of service? Be open to love. Love, of course, is one of the highest frequencies that we can engage in. And when we're coming from that place of love, if we're coming from that place of service, that's when we find purpose. And when we find purpose, it's much easier to come from that place of love. It's kind of like this cycle that consistently feeds itself. And then the more we're able to feed that frequency, we're able to feed that vibration, the more we actually get to stay there. So I truly hope this helped. Focus on the good things that are happening. Focus on any past experiences. If you are focusing on any past experiences, make sure that you're learning from those past experiences and you're not just focused on what happened. I'm going to pull an affirmation card for you for the month, and you can let this affirmation guide you through the month of June. I let go of all expectations. I flow freely and lovingly with life. I love myself, and I know that only good awaits me at every turn. So that is your affirmation for the month. Please write that down and put it on a sticky note or a Post-it where you can see it. But I let go of all expectations. So I hope this helped. I hope you guys have an incredible month, and we will see you in July.